Hey guys, what's happening? So, had this car for a little bit, not very long, and I'm just kind of going through all the errors and issues with it. And one of the things I keep on getting is an intermittent, like a LIN bus issue with the water pump. And I'll show you, I have the intake off right now, but so it's kind of, because the LIN bus shares it with the alternator, it's kind of difficult to troubleshoot it, but the troubleshoot codes will be in the, what's it called, in the description, but I want to show you what happened with this thing on this Carfax. So right before it went to auction and went to me, the cool thing, I love Carfax because I can see everything that it went through, going all the way back, every single, because it was always service at the dealership. But when they were trying to troubleshoot a problem, water pump gasket, okay, water pump gasket replaced, water pump replaced. But let me show you what kind of water pump they put in there. So I think they were just trying to get rid of this car and get it fixed or something. But yeah, that's not a factory water pump. It says China right there. I mean, I know a Chinese company bought this thing, but this doesn't even look like the factory made in Germany one. So I went on eBay and bought a used one for like 60 bucks. And it was in a wrecked vehicle because I knew these were like 800 bucks. And whoever had this car before me, man, it was like taken in like every 3 months to get something fixed. Like this engine was replaced at around 80,000 miles, new head, new engine. So it doesn't have a lot of miles. It probably has like 20,000 miles since then. But in other videos, I cleaned the intake valves off, walnut blasted them. But what I noticed is that even with the alternator too, right? I just got done replacing this with a factory, like a Volvo factory regulator, and it solved that issue. But when they were troubleshooting, they were putting like cheap parts on this thing. So they put like a cheap aftermarket regulator with alternator. This is obviously not the factory, because it wouldn't be paying like that. So to solve this LIN bus issue, they were putting cheap parts on it. And what I noticed is that the cheap parts, they're intermittent connecting to the computer. So either there's something wrong with the LIN bus wire, that feeds back, because the LIN bus is shared with the alternator here, and it goes back into the ECU. So if my new water pump, I still get the LIN bus error, then I'm going to start troubleshooting the wire. But yeah, they're pretty easy to troubleshoot. I can hook it up to my oscilloscope, and I should be able to see a square wave signal. So hopefully I don't have to go that. Hopefully it's just the pump. But yeah, like I said, I had the same issue with the alternator. This is actually a factory used when I bought it on eBay. But the aftermarket regulators were intermittent, communicating with the ECU on the LIN bus. But the factory ones were good, so I guess we'll see, but that's kind of a word of caution. Like, don't buy if it has to interface with the ECU, like a LIN bus, get the factory stuff. Even if it's used, I mean, I'd rather have a used factory one than a new aftermarket one. It never used to be that way, but just, I said, you're interfacing with the computer, so I don't know. So I'm going to take the old water pump off. I got to drain the coolant. And here's like I said, here's a throttle body right here, or the intake. So I've already cleaned. I said I cleaned out the intake valves earlier. So yeah, I've only had this car for like a month or two, but I'm going through all the stuff that should be serviced. But yeah, this thing was like I don't know if it was a lemon or what, man. But like if you actually had to go to the dealership and pay out of pocket for all this stuff, like every couple months it was like in the shop for something, maintenance and just brake checks. But yeah, it was insane. I mean, like going to the dealer is like $175 an hour. Plus they mark up the parts. It's like horrible. So if you're gonna own one of these cars, man, you gotta get a computer. You gotta get a VO and use like VDASH or something, because this would bankrupt me if I had to go back and go to the dealership and spend $3,000 every time I went there. All right, so I'd like to get this thing back on the road. It's been raining for the last couple days. First day of sun. All right, let me take the water pump off. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the Carfax. So they received the vehicle. This is Mercedes Benz of Bellevue, Washington. I'm actually in Southern California, so but it was funny. It started off with life in Orange County, and then went to Arizona, then went to Washington, but was only up there for a couple months. All the other service was done at Volvo, different Volvo dealerships. So they were actually going to replace the correct parts. But yeah, I think they were just throwing stuff. I didn't see anywhere about the alternator. That's not the factory alternator. So Yeah, they were throwing, I think they were troubleshooting the LIN bus, and they were throwing really cheap parts at it. And they put the drain petcock, I think, that's what they call it, in a weird spot. So I designed this little part. This will be on my Thingiverse page if you want it, but this will hopefully allow me to get in there and grab it. You know, the drain cock on the radiator. Alright, got the pump out. This is not really a video on how to take the pump out, but this is more of like an electrical troubleshooting video, LIN bus troubleshooting video. So here's the pump I took out. I'm waiting for the other one to come in from eBay. But that doesn't look like a factory pump to me. It says made in China. I know the ones I've seen, they said they were made in Germany, but I know a Chinese company bought this. You know, a Chinese company bought Volvo, so I don't know. It's definitely, it doesn't say Volvo anywhere. So, I mean, it has all the signs of a cheap pump. You know, because you can get these for like 50 bucks, whereas the factory one is like 800 bucks. Alright, alright, I gotta come back, we gotta wait for the new pump to come in and I'll swap them out. I need to get a better light in here. But, alright, so the part finally came in, and let's take a look at it. Alright, so here's a factory Volvo one here. Obviously this one says it's made in China. And this one is made in Germany. I don't know if you could probably translate into a date code, but this came off a Rec 2017 S60. So, actually came to, I want to take that off. That's the, looks like they just broke the pipe off. But, so, I did a little research on this thing, and I know it's a brushless motor. I don't know if it's brushless AC or brushless DC. So, yeah, I might take that one apart and just take a look at it. But, like I said, it's the LIN bus communication. So, okay, 4-pin. Gotta make sure the connectors are good before I... Looks like the pins are a little bent. No, they're straight. Alright, compare the two, make sure the impeller spins good. Well, about the same as this one. I mean, there has to be a seal in there, right? So you're spinning against rubber seal. So, it feels about the same, so it doesn't feel like it's obviously locked up. So I'm guessing when these things fail, it's probably either going to be the seal that goes, like there's going to have to be a shaft seal, right? That seals the water from coming into the motor. So it's either going to be the bearings or that shaft seal that's going to fail. But I'm trying to figure out why they recommend placing it at 100,000 miles, because if the bearings aren't bad, you know, it's brushless too, so it's not like an alternator. So, Alright, so I know that this thing new from the factory is about 800 bucks. So you can see this one was designed, you could totally take it apart with the screws, which is kind of cool. I mean, I guess if I ever needed to like rebuild this, I could maybe take the board out, you know, like use the internal components of this, but keep the board here, the main processor board. You know, I'm using this other motor if I had to, I think. All right, so I'm looking at VDASH right now, and one thing I definitely know is that at least when it locks at like 13.7, 13.8 volts right here, I know there's something wrong with the bus, the LIN bus, because it puts the alternator in safe mode. Plus, like when the water pump can't communicate with the LIN bus, it draws like 20 amps. It draws a huge draw, puts a huge draw on the alternator. So, yeah, that's good. So I've restarted a couple times. I'm still showing good voltage here, but I'm trying to figure out what this won't communicate. All right, so a lot of these things right here, because I have all this stuff disconnected and I have the battery disconnected, so tons of stuff here. So, I also think this cable's getting jacked up, so I'm going to clear the DTCs. And then, what's funny is I do actually have a vacuum. I just poured the coolant in there, but I do actually have a vacuum thing. Somebody just got to go for a drive, get all the air bubbles out of it. Alright, so that's how I fixed it. Cool. Yeah, I really do think that they put this thing up on auction because of this water pump. Because as soon as they put this water pump on a couple months ago, and as soon as they put this water pump on, it started creating all kinds of electrical issues. LIN bus issues, alternator issues. Like, it screwed up the whole LIN bus. So, word of caution, you don't get this one on Amazon. I mean, I've seen these things for 50 bucks on Amazon. I wouldn't do it. Or you're going to have a nightmare. So, yeah, definitely go use. If you can't afford to get a new one at $800, just get a used one and take the risk on eBay. But make sure you went off a wreck car. because you don't want, what you don't want is you don't want somebody to resell an old bad pump, but if you get it off a wrecked car, then you know the car was actually running when it got wrecked. So that was the same thing for the alternator and the water pump. So, all right, cool.